Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 10 of the F1 2019 Haas Road to Glory career mode, where today we're here at the British Grand Prix, my home race. Really excited for this one. Hopefully you guys are as well, and like I keep saying, obviously if you are new around here as well, make sure you do get yourself subscribed for more F1 2019 content on the channel. We're almost now basically the halfway stage of the first season, which is just crazy to think about, to me at least, on the whole. You know, so far it's been a story of mixed success, this series. We've definitely had some ups, we've definitely had some downs, but the last couple of rounds we've had a bit of a return to form. Obviously, if you missed out last time out at the Austrian Grand Prix, click the eye at the top right hand side of your screen, so there'll be a link to both that video and the full playlist from this series as well. Obviously, for those of you who want to go check out any of the previous videos from this series. And yeah, like I said, certainly been one of ups and downs so far. You know, we've had the highs of Australia, you know, the opening round of the season. We've also had the lows of places like Monaco as well. But, you know, hopefully, like I said, you know, the second half of this season, I want to try and return to some consistency as well. Good, consistent points, everything like that. And if I'm not mistaken now, this is, I think, the first video since the day one patch. I think it's been released, so I might be wrong. I've got my Xbox set up to, you know, do auto updates and everything like that, so I might be ever so slightly wrong with that. But yeah, I think we have now got the day one patch on as well. So a little bit of performance change by all the teams. You know, I think it's actually made Haas a little bit stronger relative to a lot of the other cars in the midfield. You know, Haas are, at least Magnussen anyway, consistently, you know, right up towards the top 10. Obviously, we saw it in qualifying earlier on today for the Austrian Grand Prix, back once again in the top 10, and once again another upgrade actually coming onto the car as well, the rear wing upgrade now on. As you can see, we are basically tied with Renault in terms of performance as we get ready for the second half of the season. But coming into this weekend, I wanted to try and get the wind tunnel efficiency 2 upgrade. Obviously just reduces the cost for other parts. You know, just trying to future-proof, you know, a 1,200 investment now could easily save us a good few grand down the line. But yeah, moving on then from free practice, and well, surprise as you'd expect, a pretty standard session. There's a reason obviously I don't really use any of the footage from these, because there's really just not a lot that goes on at the end of the day. But you know, it's one of those horrible things where nothing really happens, but it is so important for this series, you know, just trying to get all those R&D points and everything like that, so we can continue on piling on the upgrades for this series. But yeah, you can see at the end of the session that we did pick up quite a few R&D points there, about 200 as normal, I think, if I'm not mistaken, as well. There might have actually been a little bit more this time, as the pace around this Silverstone circuit felt really good. And honestly, I don't know why. I mean, I'll show you guys my full qualifying lap in just a moment. But yeah, the pace around Silverstone was just really strong, and it just didn't really add up, unless obviously the day one patch has made Haas a lot stronger than even I ever realised as well. But yeah, 250 points from free practice there. Can't really complain about that. Almost up to the 1,200 that I need to try and get the next wind tunnel efficiency upgrade as well on the car. And yeah, I think we're down to like a 15% chance failure rate for the parts as well, which, you know, is really ideal, and everything like that means it's very unlikely that we're going to see a failure on the car as well, which, you know, is so important in this series. But yeah, like I said, free practice, the pace was really strong. We'll try and carry it on into qualifying then here at the British Grand Prix.
Here we are then, waiting for the green lights to get qualifying underway for the British Grand Prix. Many of the drivers have commented on the challenge posed by the high-speed direction changes around this circuit, but you still need to be quick in a straight line. Is that a fair layman's appraisal?
Drivers are going to need a nicely balanced car to be fast here. They'll need to get the most out of the medium and high-speed corners, which will push them to run more downforce. But in turn, this slows the car down on the straights. It's a tricky balancing act.
So here we are then at the British Grand Prix, my home race, and honestly one track on the Formula 1 calendar that I've really grown to like over the last couple of years, ever since getting a wheel way back for F1 2016. You know, this track I used to not be a fan of, but I am really starting to get into a rhythm around it here and now. And you can see Q1, a 1:30.393 on the medium compound tyres there. And you can see by the end of the session, we were quicker than my teammate Grosjean, and he was on the softs, quicker than Pierre Gasly on the medium compound tyres there. So like I said, the pace really, really strong around this place, and it just didn't really make sense, I'll be honest with you. I had tweaked a couple of wheel settings going into this one, and yeah, it just seemed to make a whole world of difference. You know, we weren't struggling with understeer like we had done in previous Grand Prix. You can see as we now skip on to Q2, they're actually setting purple middle sectors, and that wasn't just a one-off. That was pretty consistent. We just seemed to have the pace around here. I don't know what it was, like I keep saying. But yeah, coming through the final couple of corners and to finish off our run in Q2, they get a huge, huge snap of oversteer as we come through the final corner. But get the car down to the line, a 1:29.6 there at the end of Q2. And you can see, once again, P6 splitting the Red Bulls. Just everything seemed to be working so far this weekend. Very, very close to the top three there. Just 0.04 of a second separate the top three as we head into Q3 there, with my teammate Grosjean actually making it through into the top 10 as well there. Just 5 teams get through into the top 10 shootout here. And as we head on then into Q3 for our first run of the session here, fairly early on, just made sure, you know, everything was still okay with the car as we come through turn 1, get a bit of lift off oversteer, actually through the first apex out of counter steer on our way through, trying to get the car slowed down in towards turn 2. This just really goes to show how hard we were pushing here as we actually go for a bit of a spin on our opening lap. Unfortunately, shred that first set of tyres there, but this would be my lap here in Q3, then ready to take us for a lap around the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. This, yeah, like I said, was my best qualifying time over the course of the 3 seconds here as we get ready out of the final corner. Watch out for the wheel spin. Want to start this lap in good shape there. Try to scroll off as little speed as possible as you come in towards turn 1 here. Completely flat at this stage there. Short shift number 8 here ever so slightly as we come through turn 1 there, and then just brake at the start of the curve and get the car down into 3rd gear as you come through turn 3 and down into 2nd for turn 4. You can sometimes use 1st, just try to get the back end rotated in there a little bit better. Watch for the wheel spin on the exit of the corner as you now come down the long, is this, no, the back straightaway here. I think the Wellington straight now, isn't it, as I said there. Down, braking at the 50 metre board in towards the next couple of corners there. Really just trying to get the car cycled down through the gears nice and sensibly. Don't want to engine brake too much, but you still want to try and use the gears as well. Just try and make sure the back end of the car does stay nicely in line there as we come down the old start-finish straight here in towards the old turn 1 here. Basically flat out once again. You really just a little bit of a lift there as we try not to run wide through the corner. We do keep it nice and tidy. That's going to give us a good run as we come in through the Maggots and Beckett section here. Flat through the first 2 there. Break down into 6th through the 3rd there. And all the way down into 4th gear. Short shift back up to 5th. Use the grass on the exit as you get over the curve to really open up the run. You can see we're a 10th up on Lewis Hamilton here as we come in towards the final few corners of the lap. Once again, purple in the middle sector, and now trying to get the car slowed down nice and tidy. There, a huge snap of oversteer once again there as we come through the final couple of corners. That's going to cost me a little bit as well there as we now get the car slowed down through the final chicane, trying to make sure we get good drive out of the final corner there. Dip the wheels over the curve. We do get a fairly decent run though. Another snap as we attack the curve there, and it's a 1:29.3 there. Gutted we dropped over half a second in the final sector there in the end. We could have really been right up towards the top of the standings. And by the end, though, of the session, Hamilton on pole there improved to a 1:28.7 there, ahead of Bottas, Vettel, Charles Leclerc, myself, Max Verstappen, myself, Gasly, Weber, Butler, and Grosjean rounds at the top 10 there. 8/10 clear of my teammate, and I just didn't know what it was all about. I mean, we'll take it. Grosjean certainly, by far and away, isn't the strongest AR in this game. You know, I'm sure Magnussen would have probably been about with the Renaults, maybe just a little bit quicker there. He might have been a bit of no man's land, so I think we certainly have, you know, sort of a good 4/10 gap over those guys nonetheless. But yeah, I was so confused by the pace, I've even upped the AI even further, ready then for the race. We're up to 1:05 now. We're starting to get into a rhythm. Let's move on then into the race.
We're right back where it all began. The very first World Championship Grand Prix was held here at Silverstone in 1950, with Giuseppe Farina taking the top step of an all-Alfa Romeo podium. He earned 9 championship points that day on his way to the inaugural title. His winning total at the season's end, just 30 points. My, how times have changed. So let's see who can reach the top step of the modern podium today. Straddling the border of Northamptonshire and Buckinghamshire, the 18 corners of the Silverstone circuit form the 3.6-mile beating heart of Formula One. It's been reinvented over the years, with Turn 1 now the fast right-hander of Abbey, but the magic of racing is as strong here as it's ever been. With me today is a man who's no stranger to the thrills of Silverstone. He's a past winner here in sports cars, of course. It's our good friend Anthony Davidson. You seem particularly excited for this one, Ant. Is there something you want to tell me?
Oh, just looking forward to it, Crofty. It's always a very special atmosphere, and also I started karting in the late 1980s, and I was here for that epic race in 1986 with Mansell and Piquet fighting each other right here at my home Grand Prix. So coming back to Silverstone always means a lot, and looking at the crowd today, it's clear that none of that spirit has been lost. And also, we just have such a fantastic field this year, some very close competition and conditions that should make for some great racing. I can't wait.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Leclerc, Max Verstappen, Mr. Monaco, Gasly, Weber, Butler, and Roman Grosjean. Hülkenberg, Raikkonen, Sergio Perez, and Russell. Sainz, Giovinazzi, Lando Norris, and Daniel Kvyat. Albon and Robert Kubica takes the last spot on the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Okay, I know it's your home Grand Prix, but treat it like any other race. Don't take unnecessary risks.
So here we are then on the grid, ready for the British Grand Prix. I'm really, really excited for this one. Obviously, our home race. Hopefully, we'll have some good success here today and actually knocking at the front wing just by one, ready for the start of this race. But here we are then on the grid. The 5 lights are coming on now, and it is lights out, and away we go. A very, very long hold there, and unfortunately, a very, very wheel-spinny start for myself there. Pierre Gasly gets around the outside. Weber and Butler going to sandwich me in towards turn 1 there, but somehow in the middle, we come out on top of that one as we now come down in towards turn 3. We're going to go for a bit of a send back up the inside of Pierre Gasly. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact made between the pair of us. I did not want to lose places off the start. I think this was actually my most successful qualifying session so far of the season there as we now come out on to the Wellington Straight here, back up into P6 off the start. So not too bad of a opening sector there, but yeah, we have survived, and albeit the horrendous start, you know, we just cannot seem to get them nailed down on F1 2019. We did end up holding on to our position through the first couple of corners there of the opening lap, and obviously that is absolutely crucial on this game. You know, you really do need to try and do that because the AI in the early stages of races, the AI very, very strong there as Gasly thinks about going for a move up the inside of the old turn 1. Then we run a little bit wide on the exit of the corner there, and that's going to once again give him a bit of an opportunity there. We slam the door shut though as we come in towards Maggots and Beckett's there. Don't really fancy going side by side, I'll be honest with you, through those couple of corners there. And yeah, we do hold on once again for P6. But the early stages of this race, I will say now, was an absolute titanic battle between myself and Pierre Gasly. I can see the top 5, both Mercedes, both Ferraris, and Max Verstappen. Effectively, you know, what we call Formula 1 at this point. We are leading Formula 1.5, and it's rather depressing, in all honesty, that Gasly is effectively a Formula 1.5 competitor there as we come through the final couple of corners to finish off at lap 1 there. He thought about going for a move around the outside, but couldn't make anything of it there. And we do, like I said, hold on to P6 off at the start here, but Gasly in towards turn 1 there, just a little bit quicker towards the end of the straight. So we actually pick up a warning for track extending as we come through turn 1. Just on the heavy fuel, struggling a little bit with the front end rotation, even with that slightly up front wing as well there. And now Gasly is trying to line me up for a move. You can tell I'm a little bit vulnerable at the moment there as we try to get the power down out onto the Wellington Straight here once again. Is the Gasly going to be able to go for any sort of run? Doesn't have the DRS just yet, but still that Red Bull just that little bit quicker down the straights. Up the inside he goes there, but luckily through here, one of very few corners in Formula 1 we can hook it round the outside. It moves back to the inside. We muscle him out wide through the hairpin corner there. We just hang him out to dry on the exit that almost put him into the gravel trap. That could have been very, very dangerous, but we do hold it on. And now you can see Gasly once again trying to have a bit of a look there. But Butler is trying to look down the inside of Pierre Gasly through the next couple of corners there. The yellow flags have been brought out and someone's going into the wall there. I think that is Devin Butler. We're going to look from his POV here because he gets a tremendous run on Gasly, wheeled side by side, and then just a bit of contact. Gasly, just lack of awareness around him there, slams the door shut on Butler there. And yeah, unfortunately for him, he's going to be into the wall, needing a new front wing, and as you can see on the mini-map just a couple of laps later, effectively out of this Grand Prix before it's even began there. Just very, very depressing around the British Grand Prix with how slow the pit lane is. You know, you just lose out all the time in the early stages there if you have to make a 2-stop Grand Prix. And I mean, everyone else, from what I gather, was planning to do the 1-stop here. But lap 4 now, Gasly trying to look back up the inside once again there, actually launching it into me, lock it up, I think, as he tried to get towards the apex there. A bit of contact made between the pair of us, but you can already see on the mini-map just how far away the top 5 have pulled away in the early stages here. But, you know, Gasly and I weren't exactly holding everyone else up. We were just having a really good battle in a little bit of a pace bracket at this stage of the day. 1 lap later then, and once again Gasly is going to try and mount another attack here as we come down towards the end of the Wellington Straight. Once again up the inside. This time around, what's going to happen? He once again tries to hang me out wide. This time around though, we bail out, try to get a bit of a cheeky switchback move. Doesn't quite work there as Gasly parks it beautifully over the apex there, but in towards the old front straightaway. We're going to be able to get a bit of a run here. Are we going to be able to make any sort of move work as we come in towards the old turn 1? We have a look up the inside. It's going to be neck and neck once again there. I was a little bit cautious about what happened to Devon Butler. Gasly tries to turn in once again though, but we stand our ground and back up into P6 of the race, and now lap 7 we move. Gasly still piling on the pressure at this stage here. You know, it wasn't like he had a huge pace advantage over me. It was just a really, really even battle between myself and Pierre as once again down the back straight. Is he going to be able to go for any sort of move? Yes, he does. Parks it on the apex this time around there, and I think this time around Gasly doesn't have to worry about me trying to get a switchback move. Now we need to try and focus on opening up a different opportunity for myself there, as we're starting to struggle a little bit already with the ERS management and everything like that running very, very low on the percentages here. Gasly just about, well, you know, a few car lengths up the road, and just look at the turning we've got, even in the dirty air. Really not struggling that much. You know, the aero upgrades are really, really helping the car out around Silverstone. You know, such an aero-based circuit at the end of the day probably explains why, you know, we felt so strong around this place as well. As we come out onto the hangar straight now, slipstream, DRS, everything like that on Pierre Gasly. I think this time around we should once again be able to go for a move. We move actually out to the outside onto the racing line there, but all the way around him before we get in towards Cops there, and that is us now back up into P6 of this race. So still holding on. 1 lap later, we would now be diving in a little bit early, but this is what the team had said. You know, lap 8 was the time for us to be making our pit stops here, and yeah, a little bit earlier than everyone else, which, based on Austria, where we got held in the pit lane in my first stint, I will happily take that one, and hopefully we can return out in this race. You know, in some nice clear air, try to get a few quick laps in. Watch out for Pierre Gasly trying to go for a bit of a cheeky overcut strategy on myself there, and you can see we're already down to P19 there. Butler still, well, halfway through sector 2 at this stage. I don't think anyone's really going to be seeing much of him for the rest of the afternoon, yeah, but the British Grand Prix pit lane is just so slow. I know why they've done it, obviously, because of him. I think it was back on F1 2014. If you were stuck behind someone on the final lap, dive into the pit lane and you'd actually jump them by a good sort of 3-4 seconds. So I can tell, you know, why they've done it, but it's just so long around here. You know, the 1-stop is by far and away, more than pretty much any other circuit on the calendar, the only real way you can go about it around this place. And lap 11 though, a couple of laps later, you can see set some purple sectors on the fresh tyres here, set some really quick lap times actually. Gonna fly past a load of cars there, including Pierre Gasly. So not only has the overcut not worked for him, he's actually lost a huge chunk of time to myself here as we exit out of the pit lane. You see Gasly, what, is a good 6-7 seconds back as he rejoins the circuit there. So that was really not worked out for Pierre there. And well, just from then on in this race, it looked like, in all honesty, we were going to be racing in at no man's land right the way through to the very end. Gasly, I think, having a few small issues at this stage of the day, but the focus would swiftly turn to Max Verstappen, actually, as we head in towards the final 10 laps of this Grand Prix. I was really contemplating trying to go for another pit stop in this race, you know, because the tyres were looking like it might be a bit tight towards the end of this race. We can see over the next couple of laps, though, having a look at the gaps to Max Verstappen, and they were really starting to tumble here. We had got a call over the radio that he was actually struggling with some reliability issues. Lap 20, and see another 1.5 seconds even, I should say, taken out of the Red Bull. Lap 21, another 2 seconds gone to Max Verstappen here. So with just a few laps to go of this Grand Prix, potentially we could try to get ourselves right up towards the top 5 in this Grand Prix. Now lap 22, the gap down to just 3.8 now, so we need to take a second a lap out of the Red Bull there, and by lap 25 of this Grand Prix we basically skipped most of this race. Was very quiet here, and well, thank God we had anything going on towards the end, or the race would have effectively been over by lap 8 in terms of action here. But yeah, lap 25 now, all over the back of Max Verstappen here, and I know he's, you know, it's Max Verstappen, he's going to try and defend this, but how long is he going to be able to do it for there? Not too sure whether actually he's got some potentially aero damage. I'm not too sure. I don't think so. The front wing looks absolutely fine from the vantage point we had so far in this race. Just struggling, yeah, with top-end speed. You can see he's dropped back miles from the Ferraris. He was having a really good battle with them earlier on in this race. We think about going for a move up the inside in towards Loadcell 1 there, but just nothing. We need to really gamble at this stage of the day because, well, Max is simply put a sitting duck at this late stage of the day. He doesn't have the power down towards the end of the straights to really do anything against myself here. So all we're going to do, line myself up for a good move there. You can see the back end really struggling with traction so late into this race there. But even with that huge moment, Max Verstappen, nothing he can really do to try and defend from myself there. We get the car up the inside in towards the final few corners of the lap there and up into P5 of this Grand Prix there. And yeah, sadly, even that battle wasn't all too much to write home about there. Max would try to stick with me, but no opportunity would arise with the straight line deficit there. And through the final few corners we go. It has been a very quiet Grand Prix. I can only apologise by that one, you know. But sadly, that is Formula 1 sometimes there. Through the final corner, it's going to be home glory for Lewis Hamilton there. And a P5 for myself at the end of the day. Really happy with that one. One of our best race results on raw pace alone so far this season. And what a motivation boost that was as well.
So Mercedes have won it, and what a great race it was. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today. Let's have a quick look at how the driver standings have changed. After an incredible performance, Lewis Hamilton secures the top spot in the Drivers' Championship. Now, let's discuss, Ant. Who would you say is a contender for Driver of the Day?
It's got to be Lando Norris, hasn't it? Smooth, confident and assured. I've got no doubt that he and his team are going to be over the moon with his performance today.
Let's move on to the Constructors. The current championship leaders still hold top spot, but that gap is getting smaller. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula 1. Be sure to join us for the next one.
So having a look then at the final race results in the end there, Hamilton takes the win ahead of Valtteri Bottas by just 0.4 of a second there. Ferrari's third and fourth, myself in fifth ahead of both Red Bulls. Weber, Hulkenberg and Grosjean picks up another point in the World Championship there. Sergio Perez, Russell, Raikkonen, Lando Norris, Kvyat, Albon, Giovinazzi, Butler all make it through to the end of the race there, with Kubica and Sainz both not making it through to the end. But now in the Drivers' World Championship, Hamilton reclaims the lead there. 7 points though still separate the top three in the title era. Bottas is still slowly but surely closing back in as well. Max Verstappen are in no man's land at this stage of the season. Pierre Gasly just ahead of myself as we re-jump Weber there, tied on 57 points. Grosjean jumps up past Raikkonen once again there, and Hulkenberg scores his first couple of points in just his second race back there to jump Russell, Kvyat, Albon, Gio and Robert Kubica at the end of the day there. But there we are then, guys. That has been the British Grand Prix. Like I said, a bit of an apology. It was quite a quiet one at the end of the day, but like I said, you know, that is Formula 1 sometimes as well. And like I said, just probably our strongest race alone on raw race pace there. Really happy with that result. Hopefully we can carry on the momentum, I think, next time out in towards the German Grand Prix.